Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of today's guests, including Kelly McCrimmon of the Vegas Golden Knights, GM of the Golden Knights, of course, in town to play the Canucks tonight, Rogers Arena, Game 82 for Vancouver. Brought to you by the Vancouver Canadians. Seas homestand against Eugene continues tonight. Eugene beat the Seas last night in the Seas home opener. First pitch, 7:05. Looking for long weekend plans. Catch Seas baseball Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all with 105 first pitches. Get your tickets at CanadiansBaseball.com or call 604-872-5232. Knights and Canucks tonight at Rogers Arena, 82nd and final game of the regular season for both teams. Vegas actually played last night. Are you paying attention here?
Yes, I am. Absolutely.
Kelly McCrimmon's on the line here.
Great GM.
Yeah, Flames beat Vegas last night 5-4 in a shootout. Kelly McCrimmon, GM of the Knights, joins us now. How are you, sir? We got Kelly?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good. Very, very good. How would you describe how this season has gone for your Golden Knights, Kelly?
I think pretty consistent. When you look at teams that won their divisions, I think that's likely the one thing they did a little better than some other teams, just the consistency. So we were pretty good that way. We had a stretch in January where we weren't very good, and you get in one of those stretches, you wonder if you're ever going to win again. But we were able to, put together some really good months. A month of March was great. Our month of December was great, and we were able to stay ahead of the teams underneath us who played real well also. LA in particular had a really strong finish to the season, and we were able to clinch home ice last week, or clinch the division, I should say, last week on home ice with a win against Nashville on Saturday.
93 points for Jack Eichel. Has this been his best season, Kelly?
Yeah, I think he's played, he's going to end up playing, he's going to play tonight, so he'll end up, I think, at 78 games. So that certainly was part of it, but his game just really continues to evolve, and he just, in my mind, gets better and better. He's so good defensively now. It's a layer to his game that he's really added since he arrived in Vegas, and offensively he drives play. He's got tremendous strength, strong on the puck, can hold people off. He's tremendous vision. He can make plays. We wish he'd shoot a little more. He's got a great shot, but he's one of the better centermen in the NHL, and in our opinion, and just really in the prime of his career right now, seems to be playing at a tremendous level. And speak to the consistency, he had a really consistent year, night in, night out. He played very well.
Hey, Kelly, got to ask you about Tanner Pearson. You signed him to a PTO, gets a one-year deal. This is a really good veteran. He's played 77 games for you. How happy are you with him this year?
Well, he's exactly what you said. He's a good veteran player. He's been a Stanley Cup champion, which we always, appreciate. I think there's value to guys that have, gone through the grind and come out at the end with a championship. We brought him into camp on a PTO. We had a lot of turnover at the forward position last year, and we brought Tanner into camp. He had history in our organization with John Stevens in LA. He played pretty well in Montreal. He had some real freak injuries sort of through his time there. I thought he played lots of good hockey in Vancouver, quite frankly. So he's been healthy. He's been in real good shape and has done a good job. He moved up our lineup a lot through the year because we had probably a little more than our share of injuries at the forward position, and I think that he's slotted in real well on our fourth line as a fourth line left winger, but he's got the trust of the coach, and he knows how to win. So those are things that have him add value to our team.
Hey, Kelly, I got to ask you about the Four Nations. What did you think of it? Obviously, some bad news for you. You lost Shea Theodore, who's an awesome defenseman. But what were your thoughts on the Four Nations? And when teams are good like yours, you had a lot of guys there. But what did you think of Four Nations?
Well, I guess first as a fan, likely the same as everybody else, I thought the hockey was tremendous and made you really appreciate best on best, which we haven't had in a long time. I guess 2016 they had a version of it, but really you go back to 2014 and Sochi 2010 in Vancouver was when we had best on best, and you just really whets the appetite for what lies ahead, not just with the Olympics this upcoming year, but just the rotation now that will hopefully be in here for a long time, where every other year we've got the best players in the world playing against each other. So the intensity and the way it started, it was really captivating for fans. Certainly the TV numbers in Canada were through the roof, but interestingly or significantly, they were also off the charts good in the United States. So that tells you that it was really good for the game of hockey, and that's obviously we are all in the winning business with our individual teams, but you've also got a responsibility to be a steward of the game and try to do things that help the game of hockey. And I really felt that the Four Nations was great for the game itself.
Kelly, I'm looking at the NHL overall standings. 8 teams with over 100 points. Another 3 teams with 98 to 99 points. This must be exciting for a team like yours. Would you describe the playoffs as wide open this year?
Well, you always look at your own conference first, and I think the West has been really strong. There's objectively, there's a large number of teams. Is it 5? Is it 6? I'm not 100% sure. Of teams that would be legitimate Stanley Cup contenders or legitimate could be a Stanley Cup champion. So, that's what I see in the West. The East has been a little bit different. It's it's involved more teams in terms of the playoff chase. The teams that have got in with fewer points than, say, for example, what the Calgary Flames did not get in with. But there's some really high-end teams in the West. When you look at everybody points to the Central Division with good reason, with the President's Trophy, Winnipeg Jets, Dallas, and Colorado. Anybody could pick those as teams that could win the Stanley Cup. And then on our side, Edmonton was. I looked at it the other day. Every single person except there was one guy at the bottom that didn't pick Edmonton to win the Stanley Cup for the start of the year, and they're still that team, so they've gone through some injuries and that type of thing. But when you've got two of, if not the two of the best players in the NHL, you're always dangerous. In LA, for me, have had a really quiet 105-point season. They have played tremendous hockey. I think Jim Hiller is a guy that's done a great job coaching that team. There's a handful of coaches that are sort of younger in terms of their time as head coach in the National Hockey League that I think have done really good jobs with their team, and Jim would be one of those. So they're going to be a really tough team to play. It'll be interesting with LA and Edmonton. It's their fourth time, I believe, consecutively that they're going to play in the first round of the playoffs, and it'll be interesting to see how it turns out this time.
And Kelly, just before I let you go, I don't know if he's going to play, but how does your team stack up against Marc-Andre Fleury and the Wild in round 1?
Well, we were going to play St. Louis or Minnesota once we clinched the division, and it was interesting last night because, of course, we were playing in Calgary, who needed a win and needed, Minnesota and St. Louis to lose. St. Louis jumped out to a pretty early lead against Utah. It was 4-0 pretty early on in that game. Minnesota in Anaheim, in their game, it was low scoring. Minnesota trailed for a pretty good stretch of the third and scored a goal with 19 seconds or whatever it was that they had left on the clock, which put them into the playoffs. So with Minnesota, I think you've got to look at their year. They were one of the best teams in the NHL, up to that sort of 1st of December timeline. I know we played in there, and Kaprizov scored a goal, and at that time they put a graphic on the score clock that he and Leon Draisaitl were tied for the lead in the Rocket Richard race. So So that's the impact that player has, and then he missed exactly half the season. So he's back. Joel Eriksson-Ek, who's a really good player, is also back in their lineup. So their lineup card looks much different than it did for the largest part of the second half of the season. So that's what you get with Minnesota, and with St. Louis. You get a team that finished 24-2 or something since the Four Nations break. So best record in the NHL since Four Nations break. So the teams that won the division, Winnipeg and ourselves, I don't think there's any bargains in terms of our opponent for the first round. And then the 2-3 matchups with Dallas, Colorado, LA, and Edmonton are also going to be really hard series. And I guess that's why, for hockey fans, you look at that first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs when, teams are rested, excited. There's 16 fan bases that have a stake in the game. And you see some tremendous hockey. So I expect that there's going to be some really great series as we get started here on Saturday.
Thanks for doing this, Kelly. I have to say I'm a little disappointed you didn't take a shot at Dollywall like you did last time you were on our show. But
no,
we'll let that slide by.
No shots, Kelly.
I went easy on him.
Yes, thank you.
I've got a list I could bring up, but I'll leave it for myself right now.
Next time.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
I thought maybe you guys. I'll leave one with you. I thought maybe you guys might have dug in a little bit more on the LTIR.
Yeah.
It's funny when it's not Las Vegas. It doesn't seem to be as big a news.
Attaboy, that's good. That's
chew on that.
Oh yes, good one,
there you
Kelly.
Go.
Good
that's
one.
Perfect way to end the interview. Love it, Kelly. All the best. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You bet.